Hello there YouTube, Michael Bowers here once again doing another movie review. And I know I said, sorry, as I promised at the end of my IMAX video for Harry Potter 6 and Transformers 2, I decided to do a review on the first three Final Destination movies, individually of course, in the build-up to the fourth one. So, what I'm going to do now, despite some poor reviews for the fourth one, I'm still actually quite keen to see it because I've seen the first three movies and I'm not going to tell you what I thought of them until the end of each review. So, here we go. Now, here's Final Destination 1, directed by Jim Wong, starring Ali Larter and Devon Sawa. And they portray Clear Rivers and Alex Browning. So here's the basic plot of the film. What happens is that Alex, Clear, and the rest of their classmates go on a school trip to Paris, and on like a field trip on a plane. And what ends up happening is that Alex has a vision that the plane is going to explode, through a horrific premonition. And of course then what happens is that he gets 7 people including himself off the plane after freaking out. And once they get off the plane they realise that his prediction was true about the fact that they were going to die on the plane if they didn't get off. So then, of course, they ended up escaping, basically. And afterwards, Death isn't happy about that, so they come in, Death comes back and gets revenge on all these people who skipped Death's plan and who avoided their final destination, so to speak. Like a movie quote there. So that's a basic plot of the movie. Now, I'm going to start off by saying that the Final Destination movies have always been known for these cool death sequences. They really have been, and these movies really display that. So let's start with the first one. Now, the acting in this movie is actually very good. I actually liked Alex Devon Sawa as Alex Browning. He fit the tone of his character when he needed to. He was freaked out when he needed to be. And he also displayed the innocence of this innocent teenager, but who didn't want to hear this, didn't want to see this premonition, but did it anyway. Ali Larter was really great as Clear Rivers, particularly you can see a little bit of a love interest between her and Alex Browning, Devon Sawa's character. And I really liked the chemistry that worked between those two. It was really engaging to watch, and you could see how their lives were affected by this tragic mess of an incident. The rest of the cast did a decent job. I can't remember their names, but I don't have time to go through them all anyway. But they did a decent job on their roles, and I was mighty impressed with what they did. Now, the film as a whole. What did I think of it? I think that the first Final Destination was original, and it was inventive and creative. I liked how all these death sequences, maybe some of them a little bit too far-fetched. I'll get into some stuff I didn't like about it, but what I liked about it first was the originality that it had. It really was original in some ways. Not in all ways in terms of what deaths you saw on screen, but I thought that the plane sequence was fantastically done. It wasn't too over the top or anything. It was just the right amount of it was just the right amount of insanity. Well, you know what I mean. It's the right balance of things you need for a death sequence like that. It was really great to see the characters freaked out again, acting-wise, referencing back there a little bit. What I liked about Final Destination was the direction of the movie. I thought that the camera angles were beautifully shot, particularly some of these death sequences when some of them are really quick. But the camera angles, they follow them really perfectly to where you are really affected by the deaths and you feel sorry for these people. Or at least that was what I felt when I watched it. There was lots of. Yeah, it was a very decent movie in terms. I'm running out of things to say I liked about it. You can tell I'm keen to get into stuff I didn't like about the movie, but overall, I did think Final Destination did have some very good points. It was original in some ways. It was gripping. It was like on the edge of your seat. Unfortunately, I didn't get a chance to watch it at the cinema, and because it was released 9 years ago, I wouldn't have been old enough anyway. So that's the stuff I really liked about the film. What I didn't like, there's quite a few things. One of them was that a couple of the deaths are a little bit over the top. A couple of them are a little bit, insane. There was a couple of scenes, there's one scene involving a bathtub. That's all I'm going to say. There was one scene involving a bath, and I think that scene was done. It was done well, but the idea of it was a bit. In reality, that can't happen. Well, there's a very high chance that can't happen. But you can't take these Final Destination movies quite seriously, You're supposed to go along with it for the fun of the deaths and everything, but that's just one thing I have to say. Another thing was that I didn't quite like how... Actually, Well, I was going to say, the movie originally had one ending, which I didn't like, and I liked this movie. But what I didn't like about this ending was the fact that it was so abrupt, you know, it's almost like there was one camera shot of something swinging down from behind a character, and then that's the end of the movie. I'm not going to say any more there. I'm sorry if I've spoiled it for you already, but that's one of the things I didn't like. It was kind of... it was too abrupt, the ending, you know, it was kind of silly in some ways. But, you know, but on the plus side, I know it's not my best review, but here you go. On the plus side, Final Destination is an original film that was brilliantly directed by Jim Wong, and although it's not great or fantastic, it's a good movie. I did enjoy it. I was interested with the characters throughout most of the movie, and, you know, that's the first Final Destination, and it started off a series of films, basically. So it led to just led to Final Destination 2 and 3. Sorry if my review's not been the best, but, you know, it's not much to say about... I'll have more to say on the sequels. But anyway, so overall I'm going to give it the Final Destination 3.5 stars out of 5. It was a good movie, I enjoyed it, and, you know, had I seen it at the cinema at the time, I probably would have been really anticipating the sequel. But, you know, I'll give you reviews of the sequels soon. So until next time, it's you, Michael Bowers, signing out.